morning, everybody. Welcome to the kitchen. Today we're making Egyptian feteer. This is an Egyptian bread it's kind of like a croissant. It's based on laminated layers. And so this is very good. My sister-in-law has made me some. My husband gets me some from the Egyptian stores in Jersey City. I really do love it. It is very, very good, and I eat it alone, but sometimes you can eat it with honey or even like a cream cheese. So it is a very good thing, and I love it. I really do. I can eat an entire one by myself. But this is a bit complicated, and we're going to start off with 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1.5 cups of water. Now you have to adjust the water as you're making it, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of unsalted butter, and a 1/4 cup of canola oil. So we have all of our ingredients right here. We're going to measure them and get that ready. And if you recall, I always tell everybody the best way to do your measurements for cooking is by weight. And they have this 540 grams on here, but we know from previously 1 cup of flour in our kitchen here, all-purpose flour, it was 5 ounces. So 5 times 4 is 20, and that would be 20 ounces of flour. So we are now going to use our scale, and I have it already with a bowl on it, and we're going to measure out 20 ounces of our all-purpose flour. Okay, so we have our 20 ounces of all-purpose flour, and here is our salt and our sugar, and we're just going to add them together into this bowl. And we're going to make it in our mixing bowl. So here is our KitchenAid mixer. I'm going to add in all of our dry ingredients, and then we're going to stir them together with the dough hook. Normally we use the paddle attachment for a lot of our recipes. And so this is our paddle attachment. Today we're not going to use that because this is kind of almost like a bread dough, and we want to use the dough hook, which kneads together the dough. So this is the attachment that we're going to be using today. It is our dough hook. And we're going to lock this into place. All right, got that locked in, and we're going to stir that together just to get everything combined. And then I'm going to pour in our 1.5 cups of water. I'm going to reserve some of it at the end just to make sure we have the right amount. We don't want to go over. So we'll only need it as... So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to reserve some of that, and let's see whether or not this gets wet enough. We may need to add more, we may need to add less. Depends on the humidity in the room, and if our flour is extremely dry at the moment. So this is looking like it definitely needs more water, so I'm going to add that. We're going to knead this together until the dough pulls back from the edges of the bowl. And that might need even more water. So let's just give it a second. Oh, it's beginning to come together. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more. That was 1.5, and now I'm just going to add maybe 2 more tablespoons. All right, I'll drizzle it in until I see it looks right. So I just want to look for all the dry stuff on the bottom to get mixed in. And then once that's completely mixed together, see there's still a lot of dry stuff at the bottom, so then get more water added. Now if it's getting stubborn like this also, grab a spatula, because you want to just keep adding more water. You might need to just help it a little bit by scraping it off the bottom so it'll mix in with the rest of the ingredients. Now, here we go, there we go. We're getting a good dough. We're waiting for it to come together and come off the sides. And we just want to knead it a little bit. We want to work the gluten, because remember the gluten are the elastical strands that are formed. They're protein and flour, and they literally, when they're worked, they become like rubber bands, and they... There we go. Now we're getting it. All right, and then we're going to let this rest. Now, I have, varying recipes say different things. Some recipes say 10 minutes, some recipes say 2 hours, so I'll figure out how long I'll let it rest and get back to you about that. Okay, so I let the dough hook mix it in the bowl for about a minute, and now we're gonna let it rest for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna separate it into 8 little balls. So this is how it should look. It's a bit springy. And then while that's resting, I'm going to get the butter and oil prepared. So this is our butter. We need 1 cup, and if you look right here on the packaging, it will tell you that 8 tablespoons equals a half cup, and this is 8, and so we have 2 sticks of butter. That'll equal 1 cup, and we're gonna melt this in the microwave because we want to mix it with the oil, and then what we'll do is we'll pour it all into the bowl, and we'll submerge our balls of dough into it and let it rest again some more. So I'm just gonna stick this in and get that all melted. Our butter is all melted. I'm just gonna pour this right into the bowl, and then we'll add our canola oil and stir the two together. When we're mixing these two, there's not a lot of canola oil compared to the amount of butter. And the canola oil just helps to raise the temperature. So that way, when you're cooking it in the oven, canola oil helps that so the butter doesn't burn. And I like this combination also when I'm sauteing vegetables, actually. I like to use like sauteed mushrooms or something. Use like a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of olive oil, and saute them. So I do like that combination. Some people use butter-flavored Crisco to make Feteer. Some people use margarine. Some people use just canola oil. Obviously, I prefer butter for the flavor. Also, it just, my French training, you make a croissant with them. All right, our timer went off, and let's see if I can do this with one hand. I will try. So we are going to take our flour out, our mixture out, and we're going to divide it into 8. So I actually just got some of the butter oil on my hands to make it so my hand doesn't stick. And then I'm going to take this out, and since I like to do everything kind of uniform, even, the best way to divide it would be to get it out on the table and then divide. So there we go. All right, so I'm just going to get some oil spread all over here so it doesn't stick to the table. All right, so if we're going to divide this, I think we want to make 8 balls, and then that way we can do the each Feteer. We'll make 2 Feteers, and each Feteer will be 4 layers. Now I have my handy gizmo here. This is called a dough scraper or a bench scraper, and this is great for dividing bread dough. So we want to get 8 balls, so I'm going to eyeball it in half. All right. So now we have 2 pieces of dough, and we want 8. So if we have 2, we need 8. Each side will have to divide into 4, okay? So the easy way to do it is in half again, and then each piece in half. And then that way, all the balls will be about the same size. Now, if you wanted to be exact, you would get a scale, and you could scale out each one and make sure they're approximately the same exact weight. And in most production bakeries, that is how you would do it. You would do it by weight. You wouldn't just eyeball it because your product is sold usually by weight. So now we have this. I'm gonna make 8 balls. So you see I'm just sort of shaping the ball, rolling it underneath my hand. My hand is shaped like a cup, and I'm rolling that around to get a ball. And I'm gonna submerge it into our butter oil, and then I'm gonna let it rest again, 15 to 20 minutes. And I'm gonna turn the oven up. Preheat the oven, sorry. Now I'm not sure, I wanna double check the temperature before I tell you exactly. All right, so you see how I'm taking each one and I'm rolling it on the table with my hand shaped like a cup, and I'm getting that form shaped. I'm rolling it into a ball and then placing that in there. So I'm gonna finish doing all of those, and then I'll let it rest 15 to 20 minutes. So what we're gonna be doing at this point is we're gonna start rolling it out. We wanna roll it out really thin. So I've got a lot of space, I've got the rolling pin, and it's gonna be a combination of rolling and stretching and then folding it up. Now I've put this over by the oven. We're doing 450 degrees. We want a very hot oven, and I'm keeping the butter melted over here and with our dough. And so I'm trying to do this with one hand, and we'll see if this comes out. All right, so we have this, and we need all of that butter because after we roll it out, we're gonna brush on the butter oil on each layer. So come right here. Now, actually, I might just not even use the rolling pin, just do this by hand. All right, so you do want to roll it and stretch it so thin, but you don't want to get any tears. Try not to get any tears. And this is when I wish Santa had brought me my tripod for Christmas. All right, so this is going to take quite a while. I'm going to have to keep stretching it. We want to get it as big as possible. All right, so I'm doing it a little too roughly. I keep pulling it. I'm kind of rushing, so this is a slower process. I can't do it so fast, and I kind of need another hand. So